Hello and welcome back, Realty Pros, to another week of Realty Talk. And again, we are excited. We appreciate so much all of you joining us. We're excited to have you back with us, and we appreciate you taking the time to invest in your business. We're going to go ahead and we're going to get started. We have again with us our own Miss Jasmine Porter, who is going to be presenting to us today. And we are staying in that same realm of prospecting. And so this week's prospecting, the topic rather is, again, go within your reach. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to turn it over to you, Miss Porter. Thank you again.
Good afternoon, Realty Pro. Thank you for everybody who's taken the chance or taken the opportunity to share just what you're going to be doing in terms of prospecting. We are excited, as you have heard over the last few weeks. Today is 3 of 3 in this series. We started out with gold in the palm of your hands. We then went to gold under your feet. And now this week we're transitioning into gold at a glance. And the common theme of all of this is that opportunities are endless. When we're talking about prospecting and we're talking about your real estate business, the sky is literally the limit when it comes to all of the different prospecting activities that you have at your just in arm's reach that really does not cost you anything, right? We believe firmly in investing at Porterhouse. It's part of what we teach. It's who we are. It's what we do. We believe in leverage. We believe in partnering so that we can multiply our endeavors. There are very many marketing activities that do not cost you, right? So we talk a lot about, as Mr. Porter would say, the lowest hanging fruit. So the things that we've been talking about, we just want to expand your thinking so that everywhere you go, you see opportunity around you. So whether it's at a barber shop, a hair salon, or, the fire station or gas station or school, work, church, wherever it is that you go, we want you to know that opportunities are endless when it comes to those things. Okay. So thank you so much, Angela and Anita, for that icebreaker. That was great. And for anybody who hasn't had an opportunity to share, don't worry, I might pull on you for today's training. So as it pertains to last week, when we were talking about gold under your feet, I want to hear from a couple people just to kind of help us to reiterate last week's training, the main idea and main takeaway for anybody who may not have been on, and to help us so that we can begin with today's training. So the gold under your feet. What did we talk about last week? Started out with gold in the palm of your hands, went to gold under your feet. If you were here with us last week, go ahead and unmute yourself. Come on, don't be shy. I see you, Kermon. All right, I'm going to continue. If you guys want to jump in, raise your hand, drop it in the chat, or just go ahead and unmute yourselves. So the gold under your feet that we talked about opportunities being available to you right within your sphere of influence, guys. We talked about all the people that you come in contact with on a regular basis, and just taking the opportunity to get contact information for all of these people, being intentional to put them in your phone. Because the week prior to that, we talked about the gold in the palm of your hand. And as Angela reiterated last week, the gold in the palm of your hand, we talked about the power of the contacts that are definitely within your cell phone. So some people had, hundreds, some people had thousands of people within their cell phone. And we go through the formula of dividing your contacts by 12 to tell you how many leads you got. And for every 5 leads, you get an appointment. So you'll have a client. So we just walk through those numbers with intentionality, knowing that everywhere we go, our goal is to prospect and pull people into our book of business. Just like Anita did when she went to the at-home store. She had conversations with people, got leads, has one that she's working on now that's going to be multi-pronged, but I will let her tell you about that. So just to reiterate that, and actually before we go into today, I wanted to reiterate something from one of the former trainings because it's very pertinent during this season. As we said, spring has sprung and we are excited because we're in the midst of some beautiful weather. People have been in the house, you know, for the colder part of this year, but now this is when everybody's coming outside. So if everybody's outside, that's where we need to be, outside also, okay? Yes, Dee, I see you typing in the chat using your electronic business cards. That's right. So being outside, what does that mean if we're prospecting? And the intention is to bring people into our book of business. Anita talked about the open house challenge. We talked, before about your guys's home buyer challenge, home buyer seminars. So if you go to every hair salon or every barber shop or every Starbucks or firefighters, police officer, I'm tongue-tied today, policemen, school teachers, and the like, the list goes on and on. UPS, you guys can drop some people in the chat. But what about doing a home buyer seminar specific to each one of these groups? And if you have been at Porterhouse any length of time, then you know that this is what we do. We're talking about accounts-based selling. So I'm excited to hear Angela talking about doing that. I'm excited to hear Dee talking about the accounts as well, because this is literally what we want to do when we're talking about maximizing those opportunities, right? We walk and we talk, yes, demilitary, seniors. Go ahead and continue dropping them in the chat, guys. Any ideas that we haven't mentioned as of yet, go ahead, drop them in the chat. Think of places that you go to on a regular basis, people that you talk to all the time and just may not have offered them the opportunity just to, you know, further their real estate goals. Because as Anita said, some people are extroverts and they'll talk to you just on a regular basis, and some people are waiting for you to approach them. So excellent. Schools, I see you, Cheryl. I see your comments there in the chat, guys. Absolutely. Keep dropping them in there. Great comments. We're going to move forward with this because as we go through this challenge with Gold at a Glance, we're going to challenge each one of you guys to multiply your book of business within the next 30 days. And if you've had the $1 million training, the $1 million prospecting training, then this is no surprise to you because we show you how to multiply your book of business and add at least 500 contacts in the next 30 days. Okay. Is there anybody that remembers? If you do, I want you to drop it in the chat, some things that you can do right offhand, and we'll come back to you for those. Yes, D, coffee shops, Panera Bread. I see you guys. Keep those comments coming. Absolutely. That being said, what does it look like, right? You establish an account with a business, with a string of businesses, with, like we've done before, nonprofits. For home buyers, we've done it for, Mr. Porter, what's the name of the organization that we did it for? I believe it was called Lydia's House. We did the same thing for the Census Bureau. We did the same thing with one of the branches in Prince George's County, and we want for everyone here to do the same. Yes, D, yoga studios, absolutely. Anywhere that you go where there are people, there are prospects. Remember, Mr. Porter said every person with a pulse is a prospect, because at any given point in time, they will need to buy, sell, or lease real estate, or may want a career in real estate, or know somebody who does. So take the opportunity everywhere that you go so as to be able to encourage people to get in the game. For those of us that were in Saturday's boot camp, there are quite a number of things that we kind of helped to solidify in that boot camp so that you can be more confident in your conversations with people. We're going to pull on you to share some of those things with the group as well. But when we're talking about these talking points, when you're in these places of business, if you had to come to my barbershop and we're all in the barbershop, or if you had to come to, you know, the coffee shop and we're all in the coffee shop, and you wanted to give me a benefit of home ownership. And I thought, well, no, you know, the interest rates are higher than they were last year, so I don't want to buy from you, Anita. The interest rates are, you know, nearing 6%. They were 3.5% a year ago. Why do I want to buy from you? if you guys had to take on that challenge as we're doing, what would some of your selling points be? And you guys can either unmute yourself or drop it in the chat. I need you to tell me what you're selling. I see you, Dee. I definitely see you. The community town hall. I see you. Once in a lifetime exclusion, deferred capital gains. Absolutely. Unmute yourself and join the conversation. This is great contribution, but I want for everybody who may not have been a part of that training to be able to hear you articulate exactly what it is that you're talking about. If you can unmute yourself. No worries. I'm hearing that you may not be able to.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Dee, no worries. If you're having challenges with your audio, I'll go ahead and just have somebody else to explain to the group what that means, because those were two extremely important points that you want to share with people who do not yet own a home. If they've never purchased a home, or if they have not owned a home since the market collapsed back in 2008, or whatever the case may be, if they're looking to purchase their second or third home, these are points that are definitely pertinent to every homeowner. All right, so anybody else who was here, the 2 points that Dee just put in the chat, so the one-time exclusion or the deferred capital gains, if you're going into any of these accounts and you're having conversations with people and you are selling them on the benefits of home ownership in this market, give me at least 2 selling points that you would say to them.
Hey, Ms. Porter, can you hear me? Uh-oh, stop.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great. Yeah, one of the things I just wanted to kind of mention was that I really found so interesting is when Mr. Porter was saying, when people talk about the interest rates being high, and we just tell people, oh, that's wonderful. And and I did that this week, and it really caught some people off guard. And they looked at me strange. And then when I started to explain to them what that means as far as their write-offs, what that means as far as how much money they can get back, when I shared with them that even if the interest rate is high right now, you can always refinance later, but it's always a good time to purchase real estate. So we don't wait to buy real estate, we buy real estate and we wait. So but people had no idea the benefits, just that one benefit of being able to write off that higher interest rate, write off that money on their taxes. A lot of people had no idea of that. And I explained to them, of course, speak to your tax professional, but that is such a benefit and I saw people's eyes just get wide when I shared that. So that's one of the things I think we should really make sure that we take advantage of.
Outstanding, Kermon. Thank you so much for taking that and running with it. Is there anybody else who was here on Saturday who would like to expound upon what Kermon just shared, or any of your other colleagues who weren't in the office?
So can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, finally. All right, so as far as the one-time exclusion and the deferred capital gain, to me, they are pretty much the same. But there's a slight difference, and Miss Jasmine, you can explain it after I finish doing that. That every time you buy a home in Maryland, every time within 3 years, every 3 years at this point, you can actually be a first-time home buyer. And every time you buy a home, you are able to defer the taxes, the recordation and the transfer and recordation taxes on the purchase. You get an exclusion of that. You don't have to pay taxes on that money when you do your tax refund. And anytime that you buy a house, this is the deferred capital gain. Anytime that you buy a house, you can buy another one of equal or more value, and then again defer paying taxes on the gain, because you have bought a higher priced home. So the taxes can be deferred forever. Those transfer and recordation and property taxes can be written off of your income tax, whatever you call it, the thing that you turn in for income taxes, almost indefinitely. So I hope that was clear.
Thank you so much for introducing those two topics. And just as you said, I will clean those up for anybody who was not here on Saturday. Dee just introduced, or she reiterated, some of the talking points that we had from Saturday. And just to add some clarity to it, in the same vein of all the benefits of home ownership, when you buy a primary residence, that primary residence, when you sell that primary residence, there is an exclusion on you paying taxes for the capital gain. So if you're married, that's up to $500,000 worth of capital gains that you do not pay taxes on. If you're single, that's up to $250,000 worth of capital gains that you do not pay taxes on. So that is a tremendous benefit in and of itself, because when you sell that home, of course, you're looking at all the things that you have to pay in terms of expenses, but Uncle Sam is not one of those expenses. So that's a tremendous benefit of home ownership. Another aspect that I'll pull out of what Dee was saying and make that clear for everybody, a number of things that buyers pay at settlement are tax deductible. So when your buyer is going to settlement and they're talking about, I don't want to buy right now, Maggie, or I don't want to buy right now, Josue, because the interest rates are high. Well, not only did her mom reiterate for us, your interest is 100% tax deductible, but not only that, if you're paying your down payment, that is the first part of the equity in your home. So you're not losing that money, you're transferring it from your savings account into your equity account, right? Then not only that, quite a number of things that are on the closing cost side are also tax deductible. So you heard Dee mention your transfer and recordation, that is tax deductible. So there are a number of other expenses that buyers pay at settlement that are also tax deductible. So we introduce those concepts to them, and you encourage them to talk to their tax preparer, because we will share the top line information, but your expertise, you want to definitely let them know, hey, I'm not a tax preparer. You need to talk to your tax professional. So those are some things that are definitely benefits to anybody who would like to own a home, because oftentimes people think of two things. They think of the cost, upfront, and they think of the cost long-term, okay? So Curtis, I see you drop something in the chat. How much money are you losing every month while renting? Excellent talking point. Excellent talking point. Because as our agents learned as well on Saturday, up to 80% of what your buyers are paying in a mortgage for the first 15 years is a tax write-off, because all of the interest is a write-off, and so are most of the property taxes, or all of the property taxes, depending on the amount of taxes that your buyer has to pay. So if there's almost an 80% write-off consistently, then how much are they actually paying for the home that they're going to be able to, have equity in and leverage and sell it when they want to and get write-offs and so forth and so on. So yes, thank you for those great talking points. And those are tremendous benefits for us to remember while we're having this conversation, because you need to have the confidence and boldness that when we say, hey, we want you to go into these various accounts and have conversations, whether it's with teachers or with police officers or UPS workers or whomever, so that you can establish a relationship and you do these home buyer seminars that target them. You got to be able to sell them on the benefits of home ownership in the midst of a market where interest rates are rising. Okay, I know that was a mouthful. Thank you guys for your contributions there. Mr. Porter, I see your hand is up. And Maggie, I saw your hand was up too.
I'm gonna let Maggie go.
I see Maggie put a message in the chat.
I did. I wanted to just kind of point out that when the question of interest rates come up, You shared something, Mrs. Porter, a while back, which showed us the 30-year interest rates for the last 30 years, and how that 2-year period or whatever, however long it was, that of those 2 to 3% interest rates were in essence an anomaly. And because of that, they hadn't occurred prior to that, and they probably won't occur again in this lifetime. So stalling out, waiting for interest rates, when you get those questions, I think beginning with that and then having some sort of graphic, if you will, to present to that person. And in addition to the conversation that Kerman stated, in addition to asking the question that Curtis asked, I think that to preface the whole conversation, you have to give some background information to people who just may not know, because that in and of itself could make an interesting exchange. Um, it kind of helps build trust and positions you as the expert.
Excellent, Maggie. I will reiterate, but I want to let Mr. Porter go first
No,
because
you go ahead
Maggie
and-
just touched.
Go ahead and read it. Yeah.
Maggie, thank you for just sharing that. If anybody's on the line, if you don't recall what Maggie's talking about, we will send that information back out to you guys. But it is imperative that you have this in your arsenal, because in the market that we're in, the climate where everybody's talking about rising interest rates, it is pertinent to know that in the history of the United States of America, the average interest rate over the last 30 years has been 7.76%. So what Maggie was pointing out is a key point that everybody needs to walk away with. The few years that we had with interest rates as low as 3.5, 3%, 4%, those were an anomaly in the scale or the magnitude of all the interest rates that we've seen in the history of America. So people who purchased at that time, great. People who purchased before that time, great. Many people purchased with 11%, 13, 18, 16, 24%, 30% interest rates. So when you go back and you talk to your parents and your grandparents who have purchased, and even some of us, and you really see what those interest rates were historically, you realize that it's far easier to overcome this new perspective that people have than you think, because those were not the normal interest rates by far. And the expectation should not be that something that is historically low is going to be the new norm in America. Okay. So that was just a quick reiteration, and we will send that back out. Maggie, thank you so much for bringing that point up. Mr. Porter, you have your hand up. You can go ahead and unmute yourself.
Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. So, I love boot camp, by the way. Ms. Porter had to drag me there first couple of days, but I love boot camp because you really get some smart, great ideas at boot camp. And, we were talking about this interest rate thing, because that's been really the number one pushback that you might be receiving. And, you talk to the lenders and people are just nervous, and they're nervous because, oh boy, the interest rates just a year or two ago were like 2.5%, 3%. And so, you listen to this smart broker of ours, and she started talking, and it just struck me because I didn't know her presentation. Normally I get to preview it, but I guess she didn't want me to know. So I'm sitting in the back of the class as I normally do, because that's where the people that's not as smart sit. And it just struck me like lightning. She said, we were talking about, what people really want to get. When they purchase a house, they want to do it for certain reasons. Some people want to downsize, some people want to upsize, some people want to, get a nest egg for their family. Some people know that real estate, getting a property or buying real estate is one of the first steps to building wealth in their family. And then other people, more than likely, once you introduce the idea that, there's a benefit in that you get to write off about 80% of your mortgage. And so when Jasmine said the interest rates are high, I said, well, isn't that fantastic? That's amazing. That just means you get to write off more money for that year, because what's tax deductible is the interest and the taxes. So it doesn't matter what the interest rates are. You get to write it all off. It's just more of a write-off for you at the end of the year. You're getting that money back. It's free money. It doesn't matter what the interest rates are. They can be 13%. You just get to write 13% off and get that money back at the end of the year. You might end up getting if you owe taxes, you might end up getting a refund check. If you don't owe any taxes, just imagine how much money you're going to get back at the end of the year. And then you could just recycle that money. And I'm talking to you all as though you're my clients. You can just recycle that money and let that money that you just got back pay for your mortgage for the rest of the year. So it's great that the interest rates are 6%. Hopefully they'll go up to 7 or 8. So we're not allowing that 6%. We have to start re-educating. And we're going to have to start putting it on Instagram, and we're going to get the message out. The interest rates are 6%. Isn't that great? That just means it's more of a write-off for you. Many of you need tax write-offs. Some of you need tax write-offs and don't even know it. I tell you what, you continue to rent.
Your audio is going in and out, Mr. Porter.
I'm sorry. Well, if they're renting, they're paying 100% interest. Everything they're paying is interest. So that was some of the wonderful, wonderful information that came out at boot camp, and we need to get Margaret, and we need to get Miss Pat, and we need to get Marcus, and we need to put it all over the internet. Isn't it great? The interest rates are going up. It's time to buy. Buy now. You get to write it all off. We got to get the message out, guys. So I got a new message. I'm glad Kermon's out there spreading the word. All right, that's all I had to say because the audio is acting funny.
Mr. Porter, your audio sound like a robot.
Miss Porter, can I, there's something that struck me.
Okay, so can you hear me now or no?
Unfortunately, I was not able to make it to set, and I knew it was going to be, it was going to be everything. So I missed out on the boot camp on Saturday, but just the information I'm receiving, the feedback that I'm receiving from, everyone who was able to attend. And, a lot of times it's so funny because a lot of times people are saying, well, I need to buy a house because, I need a tax write-off. I need to buy a house because I need a tax write-off. But then on the other hand, now they're saying, oh, because we went through this historic low of the 3% interest rate, well, the interest rates are so high, but then when you're able to, thank you so much for that, because when you're able to then say, but that's great that the interest rates are so high, that means that that's more that you're going to have to write off. I thought that was, so I'm excited about that. I'm excited to be able to share that with someone because, the whole purpose that you were initially looking for is the tax write-off. And now you get a bit discouraged because the interest rates are higher, but that's a good thing because that means that there is more that you're going to be able to write off. Thank you.
You guys hit the nail on the head with that. All right. So again, the purpose of all of this is so that you take this information and you digest it, you role play, right? Most of us have notes and audio features on our phone. Record yourself articulating this information to yourself, guys. Because when you go out and you go to the coffee shop or you go to the Wegmans or wherever it is that you frequent, you need to have these tools in your tool belt so that you can have these intelligible conversations with people confidently, right? That was one of the topics. That was one of the I guess, pieces, if you will, in our boot camp on Saturday, the confidence, preparation that leads you to be able to have these conversations with people and close for the business. As Mr. Porter said, your goal is to be closing always, or he actually said ABC. So we won't take too much time reiterating that, guys. But that being said, everything that we're talking about, these tools are the tools that you're using. So everywhere that you go and prospect, these are things that people don't know, right? People are watching the news. People are listening to the radio. They are not getting their information from the source or the people who are the experts and the real estate professionals. They're getting their information from news media and outlets that are paid to promote so that they can get as much, as many people to watch as possible, and that's fine. But we are the ones that are tasked with educating people and providing them with accurate information, because as we've just expounded upon in part here, there are so many benefits to home ownership. Okay. And D, I see you said you use this information on a renter and it worked like magic. Excellent. You guys keep the comments coming in the chat. Excellent contributions. Okay. So as we continue and we're talking about goal. Yes.
You hear me now?
There's a bit of a delay, but I can hear you.
I can hear you,
Okay.
Mr. Porter, as well.
Okay, I'll wait. I'll wait. I don't know what's going on with my audio. I dialed it and everything, so I don't know what's going on. But yeah, I was just so excited. If you can hear me, and I hope you guys can hear me. If not, just stop me, Jasmine. But I was really, really excited at boot camp to just have that kind of information shared amongst the Realty pros. You guys are really shocked to come up with the fact that, yeah, people want to write off. And we've said it over and over, and I heard Ms. Anita articulate it perfectly. But the real estate interest rates are high. Isn't that great? And then you have a conversation. If you don't know how to have that conversation, those are some of the things we went over in boot camp. The other thing is that, you got to know your scripts. We talked about that as well. The scripts are the talking points that you need to have when you're just trying to strike up casual conversations with people about your industry. The more that you are familiar with the scripts and some bullet items in the scripts, the quicker and easier it is for you to become the real estate professional that you know, because most people don't know a real estate professional. And if they do, you want to supersede what the other person knows and talks about. So those are the things that we want to make sure that we're doing. That's why we do Realty Talks, guys. We do Realty Talks because we want to talk about what's going on in the current market. And we started this right before the pandemic hit because things were just changing so rapidly. We needed to have a way to be able to address what's going on in our current market so that we can turn on the dime. The other thing, the last thing I wanted to say, Jasmine, and I'll be finished, is that you all want to be married to or engaged to. So you want to establish or stabilize a relationship with a real estate investor. Real estate investors buy multiple homes. They fix them up, and then you get the listing, and you sell them again, and it's marketing for you, and then you get them to buy another home and another home. And you can start, and I'm so proud of Miss Aurelia, you can start buying your own properties and selling your own properties as well. And so we need to really start to think about this market. As the market is turning, we need to start to get involved in the real estate investment aspect of it. All right. So yes, we want to buy, we want to sell, we want to recruit, but we definitely want to have a relationship with an investor, if not multiple investors, and talk to people about investing in real estate. And you guys, we need to get involved in investing in real estate. So I feel like we need to talk more about what we started with establishing the business credit. Some of you have done it, many of you have. I'm happy for you. Now let's go to the next level. Let's see what we need to do now. Let's get these lines of credit and let's start looking at properties that we want to invest in.
Those were some excellent nuggets, Mr. Porter. Thank you for sharing those. And before we end the call today, we'll have Aurelia to share her testimony because Aurelia has done just that. So I won't give away too many of the details. But if there is anybody who was not at the boot camp on Saturday and you heard some of the pearls that have just been articulated or reiterated in our call today, if you have any thoughts or questions in light of those, I want you to drop it in the chat or unmute yourself. It looks like we're going to have to add another week to this series because I did not get a chance to go through the material for the training today, but this was very pertinent to make sure that everybody had all of these, the tools so that you have just whatever you need to be able to have these conversations in a confident way. So Kerman, I saw your message, or I heard your testimony. D, I saw your message. I'm thankful that you guys, you grabbed you took the bull by the horn, you pulled the information that you got and you used it and it worked for you immediately. So again, anybody who was not here, if you have any questions or you have any thoughts, I want you to go ahead and unmute yourself or drop it in the chat. Otherwise, I will go ahead and continue. All right. So as it pertains to us being the driving force in this real estate market, I want you to know that people buy, sell, rent, invest in every single real estate market. It does not matter what the interest rates are. You just simply buy at the best interest rate at the time. It literally doesn't matter, right? Because we know, for the payment's sake, you can refinance. One of the points that Anita mentioned a few months ago, and we have said this, very many times between now and then, when you're talking to buyers to make a comparison between last year around this time and this year, last year around this time, people were paying in some areas $100,000 above asking price to get into a property. And the interest rate was much lower. So either way, you're going to pay higher in the purchase price or in the interest rate. But the difference is the interest rate is 100% tax deductible and you can refinance. You can't do that in a market where you're paying way above the asking price, because when that happens, you're not able to go back to the lender and say, hey, Mr. Lender, I know this property was worth $750. I paid $850 for it. Let's renegotiate. You know what I mean? So from that perspective, let's take full advantage of all of these talking points, because again, you are the real estate professional and you got to be able to articulate these things with confidence so that a buyer will feel confident allowing you to lead them through that purchase process. Okay. So with that being said, there are so many different opportunities that are available for people in different segments of our population. We believe in a targeted approach. You can take on a veterans community, you can take on a seniors community, you can take on the millennials, you can take on various communities for people who want to scale up, for people who want to downsize, for people who have growing families, because as we said, in any market, there are people who will buy. There are people who need to sell, right? So it really does not, and I've said this before, and I'm reiterating it on purpose because I need this to be completely resolute within our hearts, minds, and spirits. It does not matter what the market is doing. There are people who need your help, all right? So when we're talking about these people who need to buy in any market, yes, we've highlighted quite a number, and this list is not, extensive. These are just some ideas. There are many more that I would love for you guys to contribute, but people who have growing families. If you did some type of home buyer seminar for people with growing families, or some type of selling seminar for people with growing families, unfortunately, one is not our favorite, but it's something that we all have to deal with. People who have, death in the family, whether it's an estate sale or probate sale or whatever the case is, these are people that need your services, irregardless as to what the market is saying. People who get married, people, you have couples that are coming from two different houses into one house. Sometimes they want to use them as an investment property and they need somebody to guide them through that process. Other times they want to sell both of them and buy their dream house because now they have two incomes coming into one household. And then in some other instances, neither of them have a property and they want to buy. But guess what? These are all situations that cause people to need your help. And if there is anything that you see on here that is dependent upon what the market looks like, you let me know. Because I don't think people check with the market before, any of these things happen. I think they happen because they're life events that we face no matter what else is going on, okay? Marriage is one of those things. Divorce is one of those things. Empty nesters. We talk to people all the time. They say, our kids have, gone off and got married, had kids of their own, or they're in college or whatever the case is. Empty nesters that no longer need all the space in the properties they have. Right? So now they need to sell. You might say, okay, well, Ms. Broker Lady, why are you going over all this information with us? Well, I'm glad you asked, Because as we said in the beginning, as Angela articulated so well, there have been quite a number of different prospecting avenues and ideas that we've been sharing with you guys and just encouraging you to grab hold of over the last couple of weeks. And today is no different. So when we talk about opportunities, when we say there is an abundance of opportunities and the sky is the limit, we want you guys to know that, grab hold of it and move forward. Okay? Retirement. People retire, right? And when they do, when they have properties that they need to sell, guess what? That's a two-part deal for you. Because guess what? Now they need to sell a home and buy a smaller home, maybe, single level living, sometimes, something in a retirement community or, condo or something that will cause them to need to downsize. Relocation. And we come across this all the time, people who are relocating from different states or from right here within our DMV, but and you can help people to relocate from anywhere in this United States of America. And we've taught this to each one of our Realty pros who were willing to take this opportunity. And you've learned how, although you're licensed in Maryland, DC, or Virginia, you can get paid a real estate commission, doesn't matter where the client is moving from. So relocation, military deployment, your military people in general. Unfortunately, sometimes people have job loss, and the list goes on and on. Medical reasons, people who want to scale up, as we said, people who are moving from condos to townhouses or from townhouses to single family, homes. All of these are reasons that people need your help. If they're going to go from, okay, they already had a 3-bedroom, 2.5-bathroom, single family detached. Now they want to actually buy a luxury property. Guess what? Opportunities. So opportunities are endless when we talk about gold at a glance, because again, all of these people need your help. It does not matter what the market is, okay? And I know I'm going through this information very quickly, so this is a mouthful. I will take a drink once I'm finished. Nevertheless, I want you guys to just I really want you guys to have an abundance mindset. When you think of prospecting, I really want there to be no limits. When you think of opportunities, I really want your mindset to be that of no limits. When you think of your prosperity and your earning opportunities, I really want your mindset to be one of all things are possible and there are no limits to me, right? Because when we consider any of these, if you were to just take one and work that one avenue diligently, consistently, week in, week out, you would have success beyond your wildest dreams. Your real estate business would not only be established, but solidified. It would be thriving, and you would be going to new levels in your real estate career. And that is what our hope is for every last one of our Realty pros. We are not asking you to do every last one of these things. We're asking you to pick one, master that. Once you've mastered it and you have it on autopilot, pick another one. Master that. Make it automated. Then we'll move forward from there, right? Anifa talked about different personality types. All of these options that we have in front of you allow for you to thrive no matter what your personality type, okay? Because when we're talking about accounts-based selling and all of the opportunity that you have at a glance, you can pick any last one of these, but the key component is you being an active participant, you not being afraid, you going out being prepared, being the professional Realty pro that everybody comes to expect of a Porterhouse International real estate agent. This is something that sets you apart. So you take this information, you move forward with it, and we will come back to this information. If not next week, Anita will announce when we're going to pick this up again. But as you guys can see in front of you on your screen, there is a list there that is meant to just spark your imagination, because you can literally add as many different opportunities here as you can fathom. And any of them, if you have an idea, hey, is this a good prospecting opportunity? Would this be a good account? Give me a call. Because when we talk about accounts-based selling, the purpose is to establish a relationship with an individual or group that will then send you multiple clients over and over again. So you establish and solidify that relationship. You continue to nurture it, allow it to grow. You build upon it, week in, week out, month after month, year after year. And now it's feeding your real estate business. That is the essence of your accounts-based selling. Okay. So I want to go ahead and end the presentation there for today, because I want to open up the floor for you guys. In the event that there are any thoughts, any questions, any key takeaways, I want to go ahead and turn it over to you guys now. All right, back to you, Anita.
Thank you so much, Ms. Porter. We wanted to give everyone an opportunity to please, if you have any thing to add, any questions, please unmute yourself and go ahead and contribute in the way that you would like to. I'm saying to you all, I'm like so excited. I knew I won't just languish on what I missed. Appreciate what I was able to receive today, because this is a lot of good ideas, a lot of good information, things that I am going to, it gives me a way to speak to those individuals that may be concerned in this market right now. And I said also too, I'm saving that chart, because a lot of times I know for myself, I'm a visual person, and so you can speak that to someone, but it's great to have that chart. You pull out your phone, you saved it in your phone, pull out your phone, and you show them, this is what has been the history, so that then that helps them to feel more comfortable as well. That, along with, the whole great that the interest rate is higher. And that means that, look at all that interest rate that you're going to be able to write off. I think those are two huge, areas to be able to encourage a person, someone who may have been interested in purchasing. I love that idea. Is there anyone else who has anything that they wanted to share? I think we wanted to have Aurelia to share with us some of her, her testimony. So go ahead, Aurelia.
Can you all hear me? Can you hear me on the,
I can hear
I
you.
think it may be my recording. Can you hear me clearly?
Yeah, I can hear you clearly.
Oh, good. Okay. I just wanted to share, first I wanted to say was a good point that Ms. Porter made about the market on last year and how the sellers were able to get well above the market amount. And sometimes I think the buyers, when I'm talking to them anyway, to think about the fact that even if they're pre-approved, and I don't know if you all think this is a good suggestion or not, but even if you're pre-approved for the higher amount, if you think that that's kind of pushing you above because of the interest rate, maybe consider looking at the lower amount as far as a home, just so that you can get in the market of buying a home. So I don't know if that's a good suggestion or not, but I think that's better than not purchasing now because you're thinking of the interest rate. But if you purchased, especially first-time home buyers, maybe you might want to look a little below what you actually pre-qualify for if you're thinking about saving money at the time, and then maybe buy up when the interest rate changes. But I want to mention, I want to share something with you all because I had the experience last month on March the 20th. I actually put of March, I put in an offer for a home and it was accepted on March the 20th. I did close and I closed with a program, with the MMP program, which they said normally that takes 60 days, up to 60 days, but I was able to do it in 29 days. I was able to provide them with the information that they needed. And I was I was happy to see that I can play both sides as far as the buyer to see what they go through and what the lenders are actually asking for, because it's been some time since I've owned a home, but I can just happily say I closed on yesterday on my own purchase. And everything went like
Yay.
clockwork. Yeah, it was everything. I had a wonderful listing agent, the lenders, velocity, everybody was excellent throughout the process. I provided and did what I needed to do as a buyer and as the agent. So I was really playing both sides, but I'm excited to say that I did close on yesterday. So I'm happily a first time home buyer, and I hear all of this good information that you all given about what I need to look out for as far as the taxes and even the homestead. Now, of course, I'm being really quick about everything that I do. I even contacted the homestead to get, they have to give you an access number. And when I contacted them, they said, well, your deed is not recorded yet. So you do have to wait until your deed is recorded. And then they will send an access number. But I'm going through that too, because that's an additional savings for us as far as, and I'll show my face. I can't. That is an additional savings for us as far as the homestead program. So I'm going to go through that process as well. Let me see if I can stand up, because I don't like the way that picture looks. Yeah, so yes, that was an excellent process to go through, and I'm glad that I went through it from start to finish to be able to explain to my buyers what their experience and what they have to, you know, what they have to prepare for in advance, because the more prepared you are in advance, the faster things can go. Even though they had projected a 60-day process, I was able to change the closing date to an earlier time frame. So I just wanted to share that with you all.
Yes. Oh, congratulations, Aurelia. And when she said that I had an excellent agent, I was like, well, why weren't you your own agent? So you did have an excellent agent, Aurelia. Yes, you did have an excellent agent. Very good. Congratulations to you. And Aurelia, I was thinking, okay, so Aurelia went through the MMP program, so she knows that better boy. She would be able to help us out, wouldn't she? Knows that better boy. She could, that sounds like a training to me. Very good. And yes, and Aurelia, so when are you going to have your sip and see? Because you need to, hey.
Yeah, well, this property is eventually going to be an investment property.
Oh, okay.
That was my purpose of purchasing it, but I know that there's a time frame that you have to wait before you can even, go
Right.
to that next level with that. So it's not actually a home that,
But
particularly,
still,
but we
yes,
still have to.
absolutely.
Darlene and Angela and everybody else can help.
Yes, very good. Angela says, oh, by all means, count me in. I know that's what she said. You don't even have to take yourself off mute, Angela. But yes.
Can I say something really quick? You said that, I was looking in the chat saying, where did I type that? But Aurelia already knows.
Oh, okay.
But I wanted to say, Aurelia, your sip and see can be a sip and see what I did in 2023 while everyone else was saying the interest rates were too high, and how you did it in 30 days. So it's a lot of great points in there for you to be like, I'm a realtor, I did it. Trust us when we say now is a good time to buy, and sip and come see what I did.
Yeah. Yes, it is. Good job. So excited for you, Aurelia. All right. Is there anyone else who has anything that they wanted to share? Okay. If not, we're going to go ahead. We're going to end the recording.